This is my sketch illustration of Mitsuri from Demon Slayer, and today I'll guide you through each of the steps so that you could draw this yourself. So grab a pencil and paper and let's get started. Welcome back everyone and thanks for joining me today. For this lesson I'm going to start off with this 0.7mm mechanical pencil with a 2B graphite stick. Now if you don't have a mechanical pencil, anything you have around the house will work just fine. The first thing we want to do is establish the size and proportions of our portrait before we get into the details. So let's start by sketching a line coming down the center of our page. Starting from the very top of the middle, I'm just going to lightly work my way down towards the bottom. Let's go back up to the top in the center and draw another line going across from left to right. Now I want to use these two lines to help us create a large circle in the center of the page to define the size of the head. So from the center, I'm just going to move up towards the top of our page in the middle, mark that off, and then I'll measure that distance from the center down towards the bottom. Do the same thing, and I'll repeat that across this horizontal line. So measure the distance from the center towards the left, and then the right side. Now I want to connect the center point of each mark with a curve to create our circle. Now the circle doesn't have to be perfect, we're just using this as a guide. We can just go back and just smooth this out as best we can. Now let's add another set of guidelines coming down the side of our circle on the left and right side. Now that we roughly established how big our portrait is going to be, let's start blocking the key facial features. I want to start by locating the center of each eye. So we're going to split the left side of our circle in half. Right here, draw a straight line coming down toward the bottom. Let's do the same thing on the right. Now we're going to take the bottom half of our circle, we're going to split that in half in the middle, go across from left to right. Now in the center of each crosshair, this is where our eye is going to sit. So let's draw a small oval on the left and then on the right. We want to surround that with a larger oval, going all the way around with an even spacing gap. And I'm just going to line that up on the right, draw that same sized oval. Let's add the eyelid on top of the left eye. We're just going to curve this up and then down, just as a guideline. Do the same thing on the right. Now I want to layer the eyebrows on top of the eyelid. Let's start down here. It's going to angle this up and then out towards the center of our circle. And then angle this down and out along the side. Let's go back to the inside. Just angle this up and then in. Let's draw the bottom of the eyelid. Again, another curve just underneath the iris. Let's go to the center, step down. I'm just going to add a small point for the nose. Then just up above, let's add a curve. Now the mouth is going to sit just along the bottom of our circle, come down and up. Now I want to add a little bit of shape to the outside of the head. Let's start from the side of our circle. It's going to angle the head, coming down and then in towards the jaw. Now I want to pull this in towards the chin. I'm just going to curve this down and then in towards the middle. Along the top half of our circle, we want to locate the hairline. So in the middle, step up, just going to mark that off. Let's curve this across and then down towards the sides of our circle. And this is the edge of the hairline. Now in the middle, we want to block out the volume of that center piece of hair. Starting from the top, draw a straight angle line going up and out. On the left side, curve this around, and then in. For the right side, go out in the opposite direction, then in, and then flatten that off. Let's go over towards the side. And it's up and out towards the side. Let's add another strand of hair. We're going to bend this down and out. Come down and in towards the eyes. Flatten it off. I'm just going to trace that back up towards the top. Those two curves. Now I'm going to add that long strand coming down the side of the hair. Let's start from here. Angle this up and out. Curve this down. Do the same thing on the right. And then bend that in just around the eyes. Just angle this up and out towards the side, curve this out and then up, and then angle that up towards the top. Now we want to draw those large braids along the side of the head. Let's start on the left side, curve this out and down, and this down and in towards the bottom, and then angle this up towards the side of the head. Now let's take that, flip it over on the right. We just want to line up each of these points. Let's add that second section of the braid. We're going to step up, then it's out, and then in. We're going to come into that line along the side, round this out, and just pull that in underneath the jaw. Let's continue to add some more sections going down towards the bottom. Going out and down, pull that in, round out the inside, and then tuck that up underneath. Let's add another one. Now this will be the last one that we add along the bottom. Let's add a little bit of detail to the body. We're going to start with the collar, starting underneath the head, come down and in towards the middle, up towards the right. Leave a gap in the center, angle the collar, coming down and out, angle this up and out towards the side. Now on the left side, bend this down and out. In the middle, bend this down and out. Now with our rough sketch in place, let's go back and clean this up by erasing some of these guidelines. Once we cleaned up our drawing, we get a better look at our proportions. Now there's some areas that I want to correct, but I'll come back to that later. Let's go back to the eyes. Just going to trace the outside of the iris, just darken this up. Just want to define the edges. And at any stage, you can go back and just modify the size or the shape, and even the location. Now on the top left side, we're going to lightly sketch out a small circle in between the outside of the iris and the pupil. Draw a smaller one on the inside. Let's do the same thing on the right. These are the highlights. Just going to lightly shade in the center of the pupil. Then I'm going to go in and just add some more shape to the eyebrows, giving a little bit of a bend, going out and then up, and curving that down towards the side. And then bending the inside of the brow. Let's add a little bit of thickness to the eyebrow. Just going to lightly shade the inside. And from here, it's going to tuck the eyelid underneath the brow. Start with the inside, go along the top, and then down. And we want to make sure that we add some thickness across the top of the eyelid. Adding a couple points on the outside. Again, just shading that in. And then we're just going to add a fold coming down the side. And we'll add some eyelashes. From the bottom edge of the eyelid, just curl these up and then out. Let's go to the bottom of the eye. Add a little bit of thickness in the center. And shade that in. I'm just going to lower the nose a little bit down because it was a little bit too high. Add a little bit of shading across the top. You can go back and just clean up the nose area. And I'm also going to change the expression of the mouth. So we're going to add a little point in the center, come down and out towards the sides, and we'll round out the bottom. Let's add the lower lip. Then we can go back and just clean that up. Now with that center piece of hair, we're just going to add that texture and modify the shapes. It's just working within that bounding area, adding some curves and bends. And we'll just work our way out along the sides. I'm also going to modify the shape and size of the lower jaw. And go back and just add a little bit of texture to those braids. And then I'm going to go back and just add a little bit more volume to the top of the head. Just working around that circle. Just pulling it down towards a point in the middle. So we create a part. Go around the right side. Now I'm going to go back and do one final cleanup before we get into the details and shading. Now I'm going to switch to my 0.9mm and start adding some contrast to our drawing. So I want to start with the eyebrows first. Just going in, just darkening that up. And we can always add some more detail and shape if we need to. I'm just going to stick to these lines that I've created. It's always easier to start with the rough sketch first and start layering on the detail and contrast after. So your proportions will get a little bit more accurate by doing it this way. Now inside the iris, I'm just going to darken up the top, going around those highlights. And I'm just going to gradually fade that down towards the bottom to create a bit of a glare effect. And just have a very light pressure on my pencil. Now for the shading, I just want to define the outside edge of the shadows and then lightly shade the inside. So this is a bit of a hard shadow. We're also going to add a shadow across the top of the head going in between the hair. So we got a little bit of a curve going up. And then using the side edge of our pencil, I'm just going to shade that in. Also adding shadow from the hair. And I'm just roughing this in, not getting too detailed with this. And then on the bottom of each braid section, I'm just going to add a curve and then shade the bottom. Now, as we get closer to the end, we'll tighten up our shadows and details, and always be sure to sign our artwork, and that's pretty much it. There's a sketch illustration of Mitsuri from Demon Slayer. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, please be sure to subscribe because I'm posting new lessons every single week. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.